In this episode, we talk about selecting the right nutrition approach for your client and Facebook comment on my calf gains. Welcome to episode 17 of Ask the LJs. I'm Luke.
I'm Lawrence.
And today we're going to discuss selecting
the right nutrition approach for your clients.
Oh, for your clients. Bang. Oh, I didn't notice that. So we can keep it. Yeah,
I imagine so.
Yeah, we'll go for that.
We'll go for that.
Because I just done a talk at Body Power Expo. Shout out to the guys at Body Power on selecting the right nutrition approach, but I aimed it more at the lay folk, normal people. So let's go with the client. And Joshua Peters.
Yeah, Josh Peters follows us on Facebook. I know he follows me personally on Snapchat.
Well, Josh, if you don't follow me on Snapchat, I'm not going to answer your question.
I'm pretty sure he does. If he follows me, he'll probably follow you.
At Shred by Science. At Shred by Science. Facebook live stream. We're streaming this live. So if you didn't catch it on the Facebook live stream,
Go there.
then you weren't the first one to see this.
So, Josh asks, how do you select the right nutrition strategy for your client? Why do you choose the right nutrition strategy for your client? And, well, that's a fairly simple one. And how do you then progress your clients with their nutrition?
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you want to go or do you want me to kick off?
You kick off. You did a talk on this.
Yeah, we've done a talk on it. But
You did.
We both, yeah. Okay, so why it's important? Because your clients will stay with you a lot longer if they get results.
Yeah.
Why it's important is that if they're not able to sustain that nutrition approach, they're not going to be able to get results. And if they don't get results, they won't stay. And you'll look like a bad personal trainer because you've tried to marry an approach to your client rather than trying to marry your client to a specific approach that suits them. Did I get that right or did I get that wrong? Basically, don't try and marry one approach. And that was the thing on my slides where it doesn't matter if you're the keto guy, if you're the intermittent faster, if you're the high carb, if you're the whatever dieting, whatever it is, don't try and pick a strategy and then try and fit that strategy to all of your clients. Try and look at your client, get to know them, and we're going to talk about some of the stuff we do at Shredded by Science and what we teach on the Shredded by Science Academy. But try and pick an approach which is best for that client at that specific time. And what annoys me is people is like, if you can't follow that diet for the rest of your life, then it's not the right diet to be on. But people's goals change. If you're looking to...
Everything changes.
Everything changes. Life changes. You're not a rodent being put into a study where literally they're controlling all of the variables. You're a real person who has real stuff going on your day-to-day life, and things change. So when people say, oh, unless you can follow that diet for the rest of your life, I'm like, well, you're an idiot, because your work, your family life, your business life, everything changes. So for example, if you're working 9 to 5 and then your new job involves you working nights, then things are going to probably have to change. It's going to be a new stressor. It's going to require new things and new adaptation. So if your goal is to get shredded for a competition, then you're probably going to have to pick a nutrition approach which is going to enable you to be able to be shredded on stage where you've got your glutes out, or if you're doing one of those board shorts where you've just got your abs out, where you don't... Seriously, if I was going to be one of those which just had the board shorts on, going off topic, Facebook and on here, I wouldn't really train legs.
I would, but I like squats.
Would you? But you'd only train to get all those hormonal gains, so then you got hench like Phil Heath. Please, that is not serious. So, but I would seriously, if it's like, why do that? Why do a competition where you literally going to have shorts on, shorts longer than you would actually have on the beach, because they're so, like, they want their tan to be, like, they don't want tan lines too low down because that looks silly and not as sexy.
If you're going to wear shorts on the beach, then wear them to show off your
quads. But yeah, getting back on topic, make sure you pick a plan which is going to enable you to achieve your goal, give you the best chance possible to, one, get the results you need, and have the probabilities as high as possible to achieve that. So Jada, let's look at some of the things you'd look at. Like we've got the PUFIT. Would you PUFIT the past, present, and the future? So, do you want to touch base on that?
So, as Luke has alluded to, the most important thing when it comes to determining your nutrition approach right now is going to be everything that's going on, and that has gone on in the past, and that will be going on in the future, because that is all going to dictate what happens. And I mean, the fundamental process of designing a nutrition strategy is flexibility has to underpin the whole thing, because it may well be that your nutrition strategy is one that does change on a day-to-day basis, being like, right, well, I am away, I'm traveling right now, so maybe if I've not got access to all my meals, you know what, I'm going to track things on my FitnessPal for the day, because I know I'm going to be buying food predominantly in supermarkets. It's going to be very easy for me to scan barcodes into my FitnessPal. How about I do that for the day? You know, things can change on a day-to-day basis. So in terms of the most important things are probably going to be your life right now. The past has some bearing in terms of diets you've tried before, maybe diets that you've liked before. If you are reduced obese, then maybe you have to take that account into an overall calorie target. And that may be slightly reduced if you are reduced obese compared to someone of the same weight who's never been obese. Because there is some evidence that metabolic adaptation does persist for quite a while in the reduced obese.
Not damage.
Not damage. It is.
You're not damaged, and life's not over. You don't have to go and cry and eat all the Ben and Jerry's.
Metabolic adaptation. It amounts to generally a few hundred calories at most. So those are the kind of the past things that you would probably look at. But then in terms of your present, just your day-to-day life, like how do you go about your life? What things do you do on a day-to-day basis? Where do you work? What shops are around where you work? What's your food environment like right now? Patrick and I have touched on this in the podcast. We talked about food environment before. It was a really awesome episode, actually. So what foods are there around you? Morning, lunchtime, evening? What is your willpower like at each of these times of day? How well do you resist cravings generally? All of that sort of stuff is going to weigh in pretty heavily on the nutrition strategy you build around each client, because that's what you do. You don't pick one off the shelf and give it to a client. You build a strategy around each client just through the underlying principles of calories and the macronutrients and whatever, because it's all made up of that. It's just how rigorously you track them or don't track them, as the case may be. And then in terms of the future, you can look at any potential holidays, weddings, other social events that you know there's, again, it's a food environment thing. Is there going to be any places in the future that you go to that are going to put you in a food environment that you're not used to, maybe with tons and tons of really awesome tasting food? Yeah, I used to really struggle at buffets. That was a really bad thing.
Yeah, I'm going on holiday next week to Spain, and I'm going to be tap-assing the hell out of that.
Mm-hmm. Not like
food.
Tap-ass.
Yeah, tap-ass.
Yeah.
I ain't that lucky.
So, again, it's a food environment thing. Are you going to be around anywhere that is going to put you in a potentially overly tempting food environment? Or are there any events coming up that you want to look really, really good for? Mm-hmm. Again, are there any events coming up that are going to put you under a whole bunch of stress, like any exams coming up? Do you have like an elderly relative who is not in the greatest of health and you know that they might pass away soon?
Yeah.
Things like that are going to throw you off in terms of your motivation generally, because that's what that generally boils down to is the motivation to achieve a goal. Are there going to be any points of year that your goals are likely to change? Because again, when it comes to success with nutrition, it generally boils down to balancing food environment with motivation. Mm-hmm. Someone who is incredibly highly motivated can generally get away in food environments that less motivated people would eat all of the food in. Like, a really, really hyper motivated person, like a pro bodybuilder,
or someone's got a wedding and
Yeah.
they want to look great in a dress,
can go to a restaurant. Bodybuilders will go to normal restaurants where other people are eating food, and they will eat out of their Tupperwares because they are hyper motivated, hyper driven individuals. Whereas someone who's less motivated is going to need to construct a food environment that is going to take that into account and allow them to kind of auto-regulate their own motivation, really, is the way I would say it. So in the way I see it is it tends to be a balance of those two things, motivation and food environment. So you've got to build that around each client and take into account that the fact that their motivation is going to undulate throughout the year. Their food environment is going to change over the course of the year. Take that into account and underpin the whole thing with flexibility. So how do your clients know how to change things if their food environment changes?
Actually educating
Yeah.
clients rather than just sending them, oh, meal 1 of Monday is scrambled eggs.
Do your clients know how to change things if their motivation is lacking on one particular day?
Or having that communication with
Yeah.
your clients so that if they are in a spot where their motivation is dipping, that you've created a rapport with them, that they feel open enough to actually tell you, this is going on, I don't feel that motivated at the moment, and maybe adapting it, and you actually getting paid to be a coach rather than being paid to prescribe, here's a meal plan, which is annoying in the industry. But there's many things which are annoying in the industry and many things which are amazing in the industry. So in regards to when you said about the flexibility, we looked at the research as well. There is research on it. They tend to use the term flexible versus rigid dieting. Let's spit it out. You'll probably know it as, or your clients probably know it as more of clean eating, which no one even knows what the hell that means. And if it fits your macros, which stands for if it fits your mouth, no, it means if it fits your macros, obviously. And even the research have shown that those which have been on more of a rigid diet, clean eating diet, have had lower total weight loss, yes, lower sustained weight loss, and looking at putting that weight back on. So it's normally like if your parents or someone would say to you, you can't have that, you're probably going to want it more. So rather than looking at excluding things in a diet, look at what the client actually likes. So when you're going through that consultation, what are the foods you liked, what are the foods you dislike, and taking that into account when giving advice, and actually trying to have a more of an inclusive diet rather than an exclusive diet. We'll probably touch base, and I know time's ticking, and we've got a good article which we're linking from Gregg Slater, former SBS coach, and he come up with like 13 different dietary tracking methods.
Yeah.
And at the base of the pyramid, we had to keep it. It's my idea to do the pyramid because we wanted like just like a normal sort of spectrum thing, didn't we?
He originally sent the article to us with just like 2 arrows.
Yeah, and I was just like, Helms likes, this is obviously Helms being
Eric Helms likes pyramids.
Eric Helms likes the Eric Helms of Pyramidion likes the pyramid, so I changed that and we put it into a pyramid form. It's looking at nutritional age, looking at their motivation, looking at their goals. Like you don't have to track all the macros if you just want to feel a bit better about yourself or drop a stone or two. There's other methods out there which you can actually use and adopt that are going to get you from where you currently are to where you want to actually be. And looking at, obviously, the part of the question was, how do you sort of scale up? Well, in the pyramid, and M-Dog, we'll get a pyramid as well. We've got a graphic. We'll put that up, and we'll just put that up for maybe like 10 seconds, maybe a bit longer while I carry on talking. And at the base of the pyramid are those which maybe have low nutritional age, low knowledge in regard to nutrition, who may have more stuff going on outside in their current life, who may have goals which don't require them to count all the macros, all the fibre, all the everything. And then, so going back to your Joshua, yeah? Going back to Joshua, your question, getting them to maybe start lower down on that pyramid and get results. Like if you can have the smallest amount of change and requirement for that client to get the biggest like bang for buck, so like your return of investment, try and do that. So maybe you use a habit-based approach and finding out some of their habits and working on that, and that then gets them to where they want to be, their first goal. And then it might be, okay, we need to tighten it up a little bit more. So we might do the protein semi-track, which I come up with, which was track protein and track variables like your body weight, your measurements and stuff like that, and then adjust like calorie portions or like carbs or maybe making some better informed decisions because you have gained that nutritional knowledge, and then adapting that to make sure that you're continuing progressing. And then it might be you get to a stage and you go, actually, I'm down to 13% body fat, I might want to compete. And then it might be you then go to macro ranges and then go into exact macros. But as you can see from the diagram as well, there is no, it shouldn't be this one and that's it. It should be what's right for me currently, and as you evolve as an individual, your fitness levels and your maybe your body composition, you then start adapting different tracking continuum or different tracking methods to increase the accuracy that you'll need to get down to sort of low levels of body fat. I think that's it.
Yeah, I think we're good.
We smashed that. So hopefully you enjoyed that. If you haven't subscribed on the iTunes, make sure you hit subscribe. If you haven't subscribed and you're watching this on YouTube, yeah, I'm calling to action now. Make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss any of these episodes. And on Facebook to make sure you get notified every single time we post. Hit get notifications and pull it to all. Speak to you next time, guys. Thanks for watching and listening.